Hello, welcome to yet another episode. Let's throw that intro and let's get started. Okay. We're looking at episode 1127, episode 1127 of One Piece. Now, I have a few disappointing things. I thought I would see more on the Iron Giant based on episode 1126. His eyes lit up, so I assumed I would be seeing him moving, doing something, anything, but nothing on him showed up. But that's not like the death and end of it all. Surely something great happened. Okay, episode 1127 of One Piece is obviously titled Luffy versus Kizaru, a kaleidoscopic battle. And indeed, it was a light show. Wow. And of course, there's a few interesting facts. We got to see a little bit of a few people shining, looking good. So let's get down to the action. Of course, we have to pay homage to Oda. Great vision as always, delivering on visuals, delivering on story as always. Like I said, One Piece is the greatest anime ever made. Well, let's look into this dynamic showdown. Okay, the core bit, at its core, the central conflict of this episode, and oh shit, I'm having issues with my lighting. Yep, small little thing can just take you off the rail. Right, as I was saying, the core of this anime really is reality bending style of Luffy's Gear 5, which has a bit of cartoonish physics into it. Like there's a scene where Luffy's running in the air. You know how Bugs Bunny and all these other cartoons always have that wheelie circle on their legs when they're running really fast? Luffy does that. And of course, don't forget the part where he's gigantic and then all that. And then when you look at Admiral Kizaru's speed and precision, he's like controlling light with his Pika no Mi devil fruit. Basically, his abilities are like light striking, fast attacks. Like whoa. And Luffy got confused through the certain scenes where he could see like a mirage of him. Couldn't even tell if this is an illusion or him, but he was just showing down, having fun, which is interesting about this whole Gear 5 aspect of Luffy. And of course, we got a little bit of Zoro and Lucci, Rob Lucci fighting. We got a bit of that. We got to see Sanji all fired up because somebody kicked the shit out of Bonney. And if speaking of Bonney, Jewelry Bonney showed a notable sequence of her decisive fighting abilities where she got to take down a few Marines, making them young, making them old, which was kind of nice touch. And of course, Sentomaru showed up a bit just for that brief moment, catching her while she fell from the sky. That was a nice little touch. And of course, Atlas commanding the Pacifista to attack all the Marines towards the end. Also a nice little bit of the story. Of course, the events of Egghead are unfolding in a slow and steady pace. But I have to say, the story itself is moving at a snail's pace. Like I said, I would have loved to see Kermit, K-Mat, my man, the Iron Giant in action. That is what I was looking for. Of course, Saint J. Garcia Satin showed up, not doing anything. He just a glimpse of him at the end of the episode. Besides the visual effects and the fighting, this episode did not hold like a moment of awe from me, because I went in with the excitement, with the anticipation of seeing the Iron Giant in action, and I didn't even see him, and that disappointed me a little bit. Of course, I'm not gonna lie, it was nice seeing Luffy and Kizaru fighting. Where one guy is all about precision, one guy is all about goofing off. It was nice balance of things, and I have to say that the animators, Oda, the sound design, the music, and the fighting background has a great, significant way of enhancing the impact, enhancing the fighting in a very nice, compelling way. So what stands out about today's episode is the delivery of the action. It's very compelling. Of course, it advances the storyline just a teensy, little bit. We got to see Vegapunk very emotional about Bonney getting kicked the dog shit out of her, and we see him rushing down to save her in a way. He somehow feels responsible for her, which is great. Now, with all that said and done, what was your highlights? If you watched it, what was your moment? Like, this is very interesting. What was this for me? Didn't it was just an average. I'm disappointed because of what expectation I was given off the last episode. I really wanted to see the Iron Giant, fam. Disappointed. That's what stood out for me. But in terms of the animation, the way it was written, the way it was moving, the sequencing, dope. And I think the animation itself takes center stage. If you look at some of the key points of the anime, it's capturing its source material effortlessly, so simply, beautifully, with the great production point. I mean, the 6 months hiatus worked out for them. But of course, the main conflict of the whole episode being Luffy's Gear 5 with this whole cartoonic physics type of vibe. And of course, the fundamental power that Kizaru has, which is light-based attacks, making the whole thing a kaleidoscope of a battle indeed. Visual effects at its peak. And of course, like I already mentioned, Rob Lucci and Zoro's fight added a little bit more incentive to the show, adding a bit of layer, talking about Bonney's taking action against the Marines, trying to survive, sneaking away. We got to see a bit of that. And of course, the animation, as you mentioned, dope. So everyone, I think it's clear for everyone to know that in terms of the story advancement, the big kahuna here is going to be Saint Garcia Satin, and him closing in on Egghead is going to be a major future confrontation. That's going to be interesting. And bear in mind, the whole Kizaru fight, he is a friend of Vegapunk. So I don't think he's going to out blank point kill him. And it's going to be an interesting fight how he loses to Luffy. Or is he going to whip Luffy's ass? I don't really know because I have not read the manga. So I'm like, just in there. So, visually, this was a great episode. It left a very strong impression on me in terms of what kind of fights I should be expecting, what more I should be expecting in terms of the fighting sequencing. So it's going to be lit how they carry this thing forth. But like I said, still disappointed that I did not get to see the Iron Giant in action. Awesome. With that being said, we're seeing bits and bits more of Luffy's Gear 5 in terms of development. Like I said, even my man Brook mentioned it, that this was the first time seeing his new form in action, and it's quite exhilarating. Yeah, and I have to say, shout out to my boy Usopp. His lips, like, Kizaru held this man by his lips, fam. His lips turned red and shit. That was a little cool, in my opinion. Sad on his turn, but cool on me. And of course, Frankie showing up super, as always, making this shit awesome. Anyway, I guess that's it from me. Thanks for watching, man. Remember to hit that like, sub button. The outro is going to do that. I don't even know why I'm telling you. And remember, hit that like, hit that comment section. Tell me what you thought about the episode. Any particular moments about the show or aspects in the animation that stood out for you. Any disappointments, any wow moments, because there were a lot of wow moments, but my disappointment will always be I needed to see more of that Iron Giant. But hopefully, like I predicted, the Iron Giant is probably going to carry the Straw Hat ships to the sea. That's my prediction. I said that last episode review. I was hoping to see him do something, but whatever. You know, we got to see some Pacifista changing course, fighting the wrong guys, fighting the right guys. It's all over the place. Anyway, like I said, deuces. Now that was entertaining. Please let us hang out yet another time. Remember to like and subscribe.